My name is Harry M. Thomas III. My last rank was GMG2. Started in the Navy in the reserves in Philadelphia and went to school. I went to a building once a week as a reservist. Then when I went to boot camp, I did 2 weeks in the Philadelphia Navy Yard total for boot camp, which is probably ever unheard of. From there I went to gunny school at the Great Lakes for 3 months. Went through all sorts of training. When I went into the Navy, I requested a school. I was a photographer before I went into the Navy. And I figured I can get into photography school in the Navy. But being as the Navy, they said, if you can sight in a camera, you can sight in a gun. So they sent me off to gunny school, and we went through all the different guns from small arms on up. And at the end, when they gave us our orders, I wound up with swift boats in Coronado. Flew out to San Diego, got out there in September, and met up with a lot of guys that were Swifties. None of us knew what the boats were. None of us knew what a Swift was. We were there probably a month before a boat arrived. So we had open gangway in San Diego till the first boats arrived. After they arrived, we started training, going out, shooting the guns and getting used to the boat and so forth. And then we were doing some classroom training and cross-training on different operations for gunners, and radio, etc. Then they sent us to SEER, and there were 44 of us. And they take you up, drop you in the mountains up in Washington State in February. No, I'm sorry, it was January. They dropped 44 of us off in the mountains and starved us, here's your knife, here's a canteen of water, we'll be back in a week. And we had to trap whatever we could. I think we had 1 squirrel, 1 rabbit, some wild apples, and onion grass for 44 guys in a week. Then they tell you, you're starting out here, you hide, you got to get to the Freedom Road to get some hot soup. Well, of course, nobody made it. Then they grab you, take you to POW camp, and my first 8 hours was in a 4x4x4 box. And you had to hunch over, you couldn't sit down, you had to stand like so, you couldn't stand up, couldn't sit down, couldn't lean against the box, because if they caught you, shame on you. After 8 hours, they switched us off and took us into the camp and put the guys that were in the camp into the box. And I remember they put me in a box that was maybe no bigger than a foot locker. I mean, even smaller. You had to cross your leg, cross your arms, get down and get into the box. And they had to stand on the box to close it, and it was black. And they left you for a half hour. And then when they opened the box, they told you to stand up. You had no blood circulating, so. After that, I was claustrophobic. I've been ever since. Then they had guns going off over your head. They're talking like they're communists and everything else. And for 24 hours, they just go over this. And you haven't any sleep, you haven't any food. So they really wear you down. And after a couple hours, you actually feel as though you're a POW. When they say, all's clear, we all passed, they gave us a roast, 2 matches, and it was pouring down rain. So consequently, we never got the fire started to cook the roast. And a couple hours later, they brought the trucks up, took us back to the base. you walked into the chow hall, they had it split in two parts. The guys that were active duty, that were working the base, and then all the guys that were coming in off of the SEER training. Because you gotta remember, we haven't had a shower in a week. We haven't had anything in a week. So they just pile your plate up with all the food you want. You got one forkful in, and that was it. You couldn't eat anything. Then they gave us a half hour to get a shower and get cleaned up. They just took the dungarees off and throw them away. They weren't even worth. Then you got cleaned up, they put you on a plane and they gave you a box lunch, and that was the biggest meal I ever remember having. A piece of chicken and an apple, it was just big. Anyhow, after the SEER training, they flew some of our guys to the Philippines to prep a boat for combat.